Well, hello, Rodney.
Hello, do you read me? I don't know if you can see me or not. I'm trying to figure out how this is working.
Yeah, it's working. I can see you.
Okay, I don't know why I can't see myself. I'm always mixed up on this, but hi, how you doing there, Rodney?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, good. Hey, I can only be on for a few minutes. I'm at work here, and I'm going out to the locomotive here now. I'm in Niagara Falls, New York, and I got to go back on my locomotive and head back to Buffalo, New York. So that's you see the background there. I'm at work, but I just wanted to go out of the way to say thank you for what you're doing there for us.
Yeah, well, thanks. It's taken a little while longer to find the fix than I'd hoped, but I think I got something on that I'm happy with.
Well, yeah, yeah, but just I want to just express, like I did in the chat or the email there, that was we don't need it right away. Like I say, it's work in progress. We do the testing on uh, on just short sections of the railroad. And that's how we discovered it.
Yeah, good. I should have something soon. I don't know what soon is, but I kind of set myself a deadline of maybe end of the year or something. Because I've got another problem that's really sticky that I'm trying to fix. It's kind of obscure and not very many people need it, but
Well, yeah, well, you can, like I say, there's no hurry on this one for us. As long as we know that, we were just wondering if we could have a fix for it, and it'd be great if we had it.
Mhm.
So I see Rob Ball came on here. I don't know if he can hear me or not.
Hold
I,
Hold on a second. Can you hear me?
I can, we
Ah,
can hear you. Yeah,
All right, let me see if I can get the video going here. Give me a second. There
there
we
you
are.
are. You can see me, right?
Yep. Yeah, you're good
I,
there.
Rodney, you don't have a camera, right?
no, I said it's a USB camera and it looks like something in the cable right at the camera broke. And I was gonna try to, crack it open and see if I could see if there's a loose wire or something. But you know how the stuff is these days. They glue them so good that it's tough to break them open to fix them.
Yeah. Are they pricey? I've never even looked into it. I don't even know what they are.
No, I think the one I got was like 25 bucks or something.
Okay, well, that's not too bad. You can always get a new one then, I guess.
Yeah, and if I really need a camera, I've got a couple of laptops that have cameras on them. So, but I prefer, the desktop. It's a bigger screen and stuff like that.
Yeah, because we miss seeing it. So hopefully you have it next time there.
Yeah. Um, I turned in some points from one of the hotel things, where frequent stayer type things, and I got an Amazon card, so I need to just go out to Amazon and spend it.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. But like I say, Rob, I talked to Rodney for a few seconds here, and I just thanked him for what's going on there. You know how.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I second that, Rodney Black. Can't thank you enough for helping us out, and finding a possible solution for the problem. So
Yeah, well, thanks, guys. It seems like the gist of the whole problem was uh, some Java inheritance that I screwed up.
gotcha.
but yeah, so that's great. Yeah, so all right. But I'm gonna have to get going here. Unfortunately, I can't take the camera on the engine with me. They wouldn't like that at all. They'd go pretty crazy about that. Although it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know you guys, but I appreciate you doing that for us, and I appreciate being on a Zoom call here. So,
Mhm.
oh, okay, guys, we'll see you later. I gotta sign out. I gotta figure out how to do it on this phone. So I gotta go to
Yeah.
back to work.
I'll listen for you in a little bit there, Rod. Safe travels back to Frontier.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, Rodney, thanks a lot. Okay,
Yep.
bye bye.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Well, looks like Ken is logged in.
Yeah. Yep.
How are you, Ken?
You got yourself muted there, Ken.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I do so many things. I have it set for push to talk. I had to remember that. No, I was checking in, though actually I hadn't even left school yet because, well, it was one of those days.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred your day. I had a colonoscopy this morning, so
Uh, well, that's a nice clean way to start.
yeah.
Yeah, I figured, oh, I got the alert right before I was ready to pack up. Said, oh, well, I'll see if anybody else is around. And instead of going immediately home and having dinner and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the only thing I wanted to ask you, Rodney, is there any other things you're working on other than that issue my Rodney and I sent over to you?
Yeah, there's one that's kind of obscure
Mm-hmm.
and it gets really, really complicated because it has to do with getting feedback from turnouts
Oh, okay.
and what do you do and stuff like that. In general, it's not, you think it's fairly straightforward. Um, but some of the guys want the ability that when the crew throws the turnout and they don't have authority to throw the switch back. And I mean that sounds real simple, right? It's not.
I believe it.
Actually, I think on a couple of the systems, but it's down at that level in JMRI that by picking it's, I think, a feedback option that will make it do that. There's some way that it can detect, oh, somebody sent a command that isn't supposed to be and punch it back. But I don't remember what systems that was implemented.
Well, cats can do it. I've got a flag, a global menu flag that'll let you do it. Um, but some of the complexities it becomes. Suppose your switch is set for your turnout set for the main line, and somebody throws it in the field to the diverging route when they're not supposed to. That has all kinds of implications. For example, if you've got a route through there, what do you do with the route? Um, that's one thing. Another is that internally in JAMRI, the turnout is set for, let's say, a throw or something like that, and it requires a close to move it. But because JMRI didn't throw it and the user did, you get the feedback. But internally, the turnout is still set for throw. So if the dispatcher tries to hit it again to put it back to the main, then it's not going to work because JMRI says, well, you're already set that way, so I'm not going to let you. Um, then you got other complications like you have to handle the situation where somebody has wired up their turnouts such that they put a fascia switch on the panel to enable or disable it, and basically it's a what they call a hand automatic type switch that you'd have on the prototype. So if they moved it to the hand position and Cats tries to throw it, then it's going to get ignored. And, it's just a whole bunch of different things that have to be considered.
Yeah, because then you're getting into some of the internals in JMRI where you've got the feedback status, and then you have the commanded position.
Yep.
And that one of the big problems is generally to save certain other problems. If it's thrown and a quote throw command is received, it generally will ignore it.
Right.
But whether that was looking at the feedback or was looking at the commanded state, I don't remember.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got, well, the feedback is a different, say, JMRI sensor than whereas the command is a JMRI turnout. And yeah. So yeah, and try to keep straight, all the various possible combinations and what to do in each situation is requires a lot of concentration just sitting down and working through it. So that's the other thing I'm working on then, and in the back of my head, I want to be able to get the logging up to date, use the safer Java logging routines.
Yeah.
That
Then
that
that'll
I
make it
think.
easier to stay in sync with the Jamrai up.
Oh, absolutely, because then you can depend upon JMRI to put out the proper libraries.
I don't remember it was really a whole lot of change on the logging, or if so, it was really just a couple of global edits that took care of that.
Yeah, that's what somewhere on one of the JMRI pages there's a discussion of what changed and how to fix scripts, and I think you're right. I think it's just a bunch of global edits. So I don't think it's a big deal. It's just doing it.
All right, here's something I'm curious about because I remember hearing this once upon a time that there was a feature or two within cats that ostensibly, I think it was the comment was, well, if you made templates out of each module for like a Fremo setup, you could then spin them around and glue them together, for the setup with relative ease. And then you'd actually have, then presuming any of it is actually remote controllable, that's another issue, but you'd at least, cats would work to deal with the dispatch tracking of train movements and stuff like that.
Rolls are lightly toasted.
Yeah, Ken, that still works. It's just basically you make each of your modules a CATS panel, and then in Designer you just import them in the order in which they get laid out. And the guys from the Hub division have done that very successfully. And they've worked some other stuff by using some spreadsheets and some things like that that they can slap them together.
Yeah, I remember talking with a couple of the hub people, and they said, unfortunately, LCC came along just a little bit too late for their implementation cycle because they had gone with CMRI for the bulk of their hardware, and quote, the next greatest thing came along not too much later.
What do you want me to do with the lead and stuff and clean it?
Squash tips and pieces of
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, and then I haven't talked to Eric recently, but yeah, he was doing some stuff with that. And yeah, agreed. I think they also have started. The last wrote to Eric, I think they were looking at LCC as well.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that as you expand out with the LCC and the global address space, you don't have that whole issue of okay, how do you keep track of who's got what board number type thing? Because at least the idea of using the CATS boards, like the Arduino based or the S Mini or some of those, it was easy to have enough smarts in each module, but you still had this issue of make sure your addresses are straight.
Yeah, I think that's just the nature of the beast when you got a distributed system like that. Well, we've got Ginny, Jim. Haven't seen you on before. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi. Well, I did just join. I'm a model railroader in Marshall, Michigan, a little east of Battle Creek. Although I'm originally from New York, upstate and downstate. I'm building a layout in the basement, HO, with JMRI, and hopefully have some signaling in there. I'm kind of I have no great expertise. I'm learning as I'm going, and it's coming out. I'm very happy. It's a Boston and Maine. Well, actually, I should say Fitchburg and Troy interacting with the Batten Kill, which once was the Greenwich and Johnsonville, a tiny little railroad in upstate New York. And believe it or not, it's still running as the Batten Kill. It is the first railroad in the United States owned and started by an African American. He was passed on. It's in my wife's town. I urge you to look at one of the incredibly neat little railroad. But I just sit and listen to you wonderful folks. And I love the podcast, particularly the one out of Minneapolis and St. Paul. That's just an incredibly nice podcast. So I better stop speaking. If you have any questions, please ask.
No, that's fine. Welcome. You've got a journey ahead of you, and it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be very rewarding, and it should be fun.
Oh, yes. I actually went to Rensselaer Polytech and was exposed to that. Was it Berkshire in New England? It's probably been in model railroad a number of times over the years. And it is, I do consider it and agree that it's the world's greatest hobby. JMRI is incredible. And yeah, I love you guys, and I thank you for all you contribute to this hobby.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so, just beware. In the beginning, it's gonna be like drinking from a fire hose, like they say, and some it's gonna be confusing. But don't be afraid to ask questions. We all like to help newcomers, and we were all newcomers once upon a time ourselves.
Thank you.
So, Jim, if you haven't seen them, I think in the files section of the Catch Users uh, IO groups.io, there's some videos that I've done and a few other people have done. You might check some of those out to give you an idea of how things work.
Okay, thank you for sure. Yeah, it is wonderful, and it's well, whatever. It's impressive. Thanks.
Jim, my recommendation would be go on YouTube and search herding cats. And forget how many videos Jerry and Rodney and Ken, everybody's done on there, but there's like 8 or 9, if I recall. It's been a while
Yeah,
since I checked. It's been a while since I checked his feed out, but I know there's a few on there.
yeah. There's I did probably 6 or 7 by myself, and mine tend to be a little bit long-winded. They tend to run like an hour, hour and a half or something. Jerry did some that were very short. They focus on one particular thing. They were like 10 minutes. So those are digestible in one sitting, whereas mine, you're going to be there for a while.
I would definitely take the time though to watch all the videos on YouTube though, Jim. They were a big help, especially for somebody getting started. Definitely recommend it. Jim, you got your mic on mute. You're talking, you're on mute.
Oh.
You're still on mute there. There's a little mic on the bottom left corner. There you go. Now you're unmuted.
Oh,
It's back on mute again.
oh, when I slide over to the picture, I guess. Ken has already helped me personally with JMRI, and he is from Syracuse, I believe, right, Ken? Well,
Yeah, Syracuse is where I'm at.
yep. Yeah, you've helped me with the NCE stuff.
Well, Ken, are you wrapping up your outdoor railroading since the colder weather set in?
Well, it's slowing down a bunch. Not staying there all weekends anymore. So it's more like I go out for 5 or 6 hours on some weekends, for one day, and I'm finally getting some other stuff done around the house. The other is I'm not running off to different places all across the Northeast or other points of the compass that I had been. If I wasn't at my own club, I was at some other club or private layout dealing with stuff. I was just really thrilled that in August I finally managed to get a time where I could hit Bruce Chubbs and get in on one of his a bit smaller operating sessions, but at least it was operating on the Sunset Valley.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's quite an honor.
I'd been there a couple other times just as like for a work day where okay, I was in town or passing through, stopped in, worked on stuff for a few hours, and then but didn't time out right for an offset. Well, I think I got wrapped up the remaining things I had to get off my desk before leaving. So I think I'm going to drop out because we hit the road for home, get away from the school for a bit. Unless anybody has any questions that are more directed my way.
Nope, I think we're gonna have kind of a quiet night tonight.
Yeah, some days are like that. Hope you have fun. Maybe try to drop in next month.
Okay, yeah, we're in that time of the year where things get really, really busy.
Yeah, Rodney, I'm gonna head out as well. I just wanted to stop in and say hello and say thank you again. So
Sure. Yeah.
happy Thanksgiving to you, by the way, and hopefully I'll see you in a month here. If you're on in first week of December.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yep. You have a great night, guys. Take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Ding, ding, ding. It's 4:02 in my neck of the woods. So, Steve, I know Rob doesn't have his mic on yet. And there's Steve.
Yep. How did you get your city and state on your login or your identification?
When I put in my name, I just kept going.
Well, I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, it helped in my mind, so that way people knew where I was based out of.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense for this.
And
Zoom.
then when I model mainly Chicago Northwestern because of family.
Sure. Well, I'm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, so
Welcome to Chicago Northwestern family.
yeah, yeah.
My mom was born and raised Boone, Iowa. We know
Where
what
at?
that is.
At Boone? At
Boone.
Boone? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
They last weekend they just had a big model train show there.
yep, the good old Pufferbilly days.
Yep.
I deal with Ed over at Sidetrack Hobby.
Okay. I'm not familiar with them. I mostly use Carol up there at Cedar Falls, Caboose
Yeah.
Stop Hobbies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I see them on YouTube out here.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. If you looked on a map for Lovelock and you finally found it, you'd say he's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, what I've motorcycled through Wyoming many times. Where are you at?
So Lovelock, Nevada is dead center between Reno and Winnemucca on 80.
Okay, on 80.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
80 doesn't go east. 80 goes north.
Yeah. I've ridden Highway 50. Boy, is that a long stretch of road with no traffic. I think the one time I went 3 hours before I met a car coming towards me.
I remember taking 50 out. I was doing a load drop of a piece of tractor type equipment, but it was dropping into a lower portion of Utah. And I'm going, this is nuts.
Yeah. Well, then the first town I came to, there was a cop on the east end of town running radar on Highway 50.
Yes, yes, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe that. No surprise there. I got nixed on the east side of Nevada, and I forget what section it was, but the hills just were like this, and you're coming down at 55 or trying to stay at
Yeah.
55. And 10 feet later, it's 45 and still the same angle. And another 10 feet later, it's 35, same angle. Finally, it levels out and then makes a left turn right before the railroad tracks where it hits 25. And you're going, my brakes are going to be burning by the time I hit the bottom. Yeah, well, they're already got you tagged at 45 and a 35.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I was unhappy about that speed trap, but I knew it was there, but I couldn't do anything about it. I wasn't going to burn up my brake pads.
I was leading a group from Grand Canyon. We were headed north into Utah, going to Zion, and coming down this big hill, going way faster than I should have been. And there's a squad car sitting back there off the side. And I thought, man, he's going to follow me into town. But he didn't. So we got into town there and I asked about the squad car. And they said, yeah, that's Latex Larry. They put some dummy in a old broken down squad car and parked it alongside the road just to slow people down. They said transmission's gone out of it, so they move it around from time to time.
Yep.
Well, I see Rodney's on.
Oh, he's hiding.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm here.
See, I told you he's hiding. How you been, Rodney?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Oh, good. The weather's been really nice for a change here. Pretty
Better
close.
Better than North Carolina, anyway.
Yeah, that's quite a mess.
That it is.
It's going to take a long time to get that place fixed back up.
I had to drive 70 miles, went to a Walmart, drove 70 miles back. It's my day's done. Put a fork in it. I'm yawning. Sorry. Oops, did I lose it? No, I
No.
didn't. There we are. I'm back. Sorry. Anything new, Rodney?
Nope, nothing new here.
No? No new JMRI, no new CATS update or anything?
No cats update. I
No
start
new.
work. I start working on something, and then I get distracted, and then when you come back to it, it takes a while to get back in the groove.
Yep.
You don't want to know what I was thinking. You need some more shots of that Tennessee liquid. Get back in the groove. I'm not even a drinker, but probably after looking at this code so many times and so many hours, it's probably going like blur. Any new projects?
Our project was figuring out what to do with the apples that came off the tree. We
I
had
know
a
that one.
we had a bumper crop this year.
I need to come out and save a few from you, huh?
My my wife, we had 5 of us. Yeah, there were 5 of us on Saturday picking apples,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife took 138 pounds to the food bank
Wow.
on Monday, and then we had probably close to another 150 to 200 pounds that we squished up into apple cider, and there's probably another 150 pounds that we are turning into compost. So that's been a big project.
How many
Apple compost.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How many trees do you have?
One.
Wow, that's
So
a lot.
actually, we got 2, but all these apples came off of a single tree.
Yeah. Wow.
I lived in Bay Area in Oakland. My dad had my grandmother had grafted like 3 different types of apples, and every year, it's like you either go back there and you pick them, but when or when you're gathering them, it's like 2 hours later they're all back, and you're saying, "Wait a second, the basket's over there. How'd they?"
Yeah, well, what hurts here is that the wasps are just going nuts. They
Yes.
love that apple juice.
Uh, the wasps out here just love to find water and build their nests. I had to kill one nest last week. All right, Rodney, I'm going to give you an update then. I'm supposed to have in my possession by the end of the month that train layout.
Okay.
So I'll have to generate pictures and show it off next month or the month after. Next month. Yeah. I have already figured out how I'm going to do wiring on it. Oh, Steve, what you don't know, my dad built a layout for me when I was about 2 years old. It's Rodney, what was that name of it again?
Oh, the granite
Granite, right?
granite northern or something.
Yeah, it's one of the Atlas HO builds.
Okay, sure.
And so he built it for me in age 2 to age 4, had it in Castro Valley, then he moved to Pleasanton age 5, 6. And when I was younger, I pulled all the wires out from the bottom of it. Well, had no idea what I was doing. So anyway, when I was a teenager, I got it up and running with dad, and it's set in the garage for, let's see, I'm now 63, so that's just a couple days. Uh, so he passed away a year ago, as of yesterday. That was anniversary, and we've been trying to get it out of the house over the year, but there's been logistic issues. But it's going to be the test bed for the major operations bed for a CATS and signaling system. So what I was thinking, Rodney, is I finally came up with the fact that run all the feeder wires to a barrier strip and then run jumper across it or whatever I want to do across that barrier strip to make it DCC or boosted or whatever I want to do. And the switch machines run to another set of barrier strip. So that way they can get the power. I'll probably have an external power supply for it.
And that's Atlas turnouts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 3-wire
Yeah.
black, red.
Back in those days, that's
Yeah, I'm not going to switch them out. There's no need to.
Yeah.
No need to change them over to tortoise or anything else. If anything, I'll try and retrofit them with electronic acknowledgement that it's flipped. I'll see if I can add it onto it, a micro switch type thing. I mean, I guess I could do an infrared sensor.
It seems like a lot of work.
Which, the infrared or the micro switch?
Well, I did my small layout with LCC, and that made it a lot easier. Well, the physical part was a lot easier. The programming part was a pain in the ass, but it's been pretty reliable.
Yeah, I took a picture of the layout of what my dad did for a control board, which was all DC.
Yeah.
And the old Atlas switch thingies, and I then put that into JMRI, so it's ready to move to CATS when I actually get the unit or finish having it communicate. Who was it? Oh, somebody just came out with a new block detector.
Yeah. Was it ISE, the proto throttle guys? If not,
no, it wasn't Iowa. It wasn't Iowa.
Yeah.
It's like a BD20 though.
Yeah.
But not, they say they've got, well, it looks like it, they've got less parts on it. So that was the other thing, is I got like 12 blocks. So I want to be able to note, when a train's in any block and then go from there.
You gonna isolate your turnouts too?
Yeah, I have to do that.
Yeah.
A little bit of work.
Yeah. Should be fun.
Yeah, everything that was DC, I have to rethink and readjust towards DCC and make sure no shorts, no.
Yeah. And you should gap both rails too. You probably only have one rail gapped. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that too.
Is it on SnapTrack?
I don't remember what Dad did. I really don't. I think it probably is. I would, if I were a betting man, go 75% because it was the simplest and what was shown to do. Now, if I put that into SCARM or Atlas, track designer,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It's off by eighth of an inch or whatever. The tracks don't line up in a certain location.
Hmm.
So if anything, I'll see what he did and then have to lay some flex. I know that I'm gonna have to replace some track also, and I'll put flex down.
Yeah.
Cats have done their duty on it.
Yeah. Back in 1980, when I got out of model trains, at that point I had fiber ties, like cardboard ties, back before, and steel rail. It wasn't nickel, silver, and plastic. It was fiber ties with steel rail, and boy, those were horrible.
So I have to show off the layout and the project, and I kind of don't even want to deal with the scenery. I want to deal with the track and the electronics, and get that portion up and running. Scenery is scenery. I got to put one new mountain, or I mean, I have to replace the mountain that's missing. And there is some track work to do. I do know that there's a bridge or two section that's broken, but the rest of it, I looked underneath and it was labeled last time I looked underneath. So, section 1 is 1 and 2 is 2 and so on and so forth. I'm not going to throw away the old layout board. It's more of, if anything, I want it for block detection display.
Yeah, the name of that track plan was Granite Gorge in Northern, if I remember.
That's it. Yep.
Rodney, much going on in the Denver area? You guys had train show recently, or?
There was one at Estes Park a couple weeks ago. And I think the next one I can think of is going to be the TCA Train Collectors Association will be in Loveland first weekend in December. But there's lots of stuff going on because that weekend of the Estes Park show, the rail prototype modelers, RPM, had their first meet in Greeley. I understand that came out pretty good.
Oh, at the museum?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
I think most of the activities were at another store that was nearby, but the museum participated.
Okay.
People
And
got to
that
go. Yeah.
was the first RPM meet.
That's the first one they've done up there. I don't think there's much in the way of RPM meets between St. Louis and the Bay Area.
Rob, you've been pretty silent.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, good. How's it going for you?
Good. I was just finishing dinner. That's why I had myself mute and had my video off. So
yeah. And you're located where?
Buffalo, New York. So a little late on dinner tonight, but I was actually at our friend's house where the layout is with cats on it, and I was actually doing some testing on it about an hour and a half ago. So I was running late getting back home.
Yeah, that's pretty country up there.
Yeah, Yep. No, the funny thing is, it's first week of October and the leaves haven't even changed yet.
Yeah.
And usually, like next week to 2 weeks from now is when we hit peak.
Is
So,
that because it's been so dry and warm?
yep. Yeah, it was in the low 70s here today. Usually it's 60, high 50s or thereabouts. So, yeah, it's been very warm here and dry.
Yeah, Rob, I think there's a email thread going on. It looks like I've only seen about half, but somebody's doing some LCC stuff and he had some questions, I think, for you.
Yeah, I responded back to him earlier this afternoon. I saw he responded back. I haven't had a chance to respond back a second time yet. I'll do that later tonight. It was good to see somebody else with LCC though, trying to implement them with cats. I know you are, Steve. I know you're on the LCC train.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The advantage to me was physically not a whole lot of connections. And then I have a history of software programming. So, yeah. But man, I scratched my head many times over LCC.
It's taken us quite a bit to grasp it, 100%. And now we've been at it for like 2+ years now, so we've got a pretty decent idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
We've got half the layout, our buddy's layout now, all LCC and all signaled and everything. So it's coming along.
I just wish there's some other manufacturers, and you're starting to hear about other stuff, because how long more is our circuit kit's going to be doing anything?
Right. Yeah, Dick's way up there in age, so I mean, it's one thing we considered when we went with LTC is how long is Dick going to continue doing it?
Yeah.
So we bought all of our hardware a year and a half ago though, and we knew what we need and we bought it all in one shot.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's the way I did. I planned it all out in advance and made one big order, and because I was afraid, there's still times I worry about if the tower goes down or signal board. I think I have one spare for each. And
that's what we did. We have one spare BOD4 CP and one spare signal LCC, just for that reason. But yeah, we have 6 zones. That's where all the hard panels are, and 3 of them are in our buddy Rodney, who's on here sometimes. He's started on the 4th one. He's working on it now. But yeah, we have 3 panels in. All the signals are in and working well. I got a couple questions for Rodney when we get the chance here, but it's in general we've been extremely happy with it.
You using the signaling on the LCC nodes, or using JMRI?
No, I program everything in the CDI.
Good. Yeah.
And like I said, it works like a champ. We have a toggle switch underneath the layout between ABS and CTC, and it works like a champ.
Good.
Works really well. So yeah, we've been real happy with it. Yeah, so fortunately for us, I don't have to worry about the plus Q, the Tower LCC plus Q, or the different logic that they have on there. I don't have to worry about any of that. So it's kind of glad we got it all in one shot and it's all standardized and don't have to deal with any different logic or language or anything like that. So.
Yeah, just make good backup copies.
Oh yeah, yep. No, I'm trying to. I got a backup on the computer where the layout is. I got a backup on my email. I got a backup in my hard drive over here. It's every time I update it over there, I send copies to myself. So everything's good there. But yeah, the only issue we have right over there right now is we have a blue light on one of the nodes. And it's solid blue light. When we hit it, it goes out. So we know it's a warning. We've asked Dick about it, but we don't know exactly where it's coming from. So I'm actually going back over there tomorrow to our friend's house with Rodney, who's on here sometimes. The two of us are gonna try hashing out what node it's coming from, because he actually unhooked the terminator off the one zone panel last week, and we turned the system back on, and the light went out. So we knew it wasn't in two of the zones; it's in the one other one. We're trying to just
Yeah,
break
yeah.
down.
I bought some of the Cat5 male to male connectors so I could bypass modules if I had to try
Right.
to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And I struggled originally because I'd bought his PowerPoints
Mm-hmm.
is early, and they were, well, it turned out they're too slow firing up the boards, and I was getting all sorts of weird stuff. So I ended up buying like a 15 amp 18 volt power supply, and then I just ran a bus,
Mm-hmm.
and that made things a heck of a lot better. But
Yeah.
I think his new PowerPoints are better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there were some strange things 4 years ago. So join, the groups.io. Those guys get pretty good information.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very good. Yeah, it's like the guy I responded back to today. It's like, feel free to post whatever, the response, the feedback on here is excellent. So
yeah.
So Rodney, I got a question for you.
Sure, shoot.
All right. Let me see how I can explain this here. It's not necessarily a big issue, but let me see how I can explain it. All right, say you have interlocking A, and it's just a single track going one direction, and there's one switch, and it goes controlled siding, basically. Interlocking B is where the two tracks come back to one, the other end of controlled siding, basically. All right, I line up a train at both interlockings. I run the train through both interlockings, and when it clears the second interlocking, I go to line the signal back the other way on the signal track, and the trace comes up, but the signal doesn't come in. The head of the signal stays white, which for us is stop. And we don't know if you have a traffic stick in there and it's sticking, or what the deal is.
Okay. Where are you using okay, who's determining the signal aspects? That's in the LCC node?
Yeah, the LCC is reading it from JMRI, whatever the is.
Okay. My guess is it's probably in the LCC, because all the CATS does is he puts a hold on the signal to turn it red, and he will release it when the dispatcher sets the signal.
Okay, if I line up interlocking A second time and clear the signal, and then clear the signal that isn't showing up, but the traces, the signal will come in the second time. I took a video of it when I was over at my friend's house. I might post it later, so you can actually see what it looks like on the panel.
Okay, if I were you, the thing I would look at is go to the JMRI. It would be basically the signal head table, and watch the hold column on those.
That's what I was doing. And the thing we noticed was let's see, We have an interlocking, it's number 17, and the next interlocking is number 23, and we have an automatic in between them, an automatic signal. And when I ran light power from 17 through 19 to 23, when we cleared 19, the hold stayed on for the signal going the other way, and it stated red. And when I cleared 23, it released the hold on the automatic in 19 and went back to approach, like a traffic stick.
No, there is a traffic stick, but I think it works only if I think the traffic stick gets invoked only if you're APB.
Okay, because that's what I do have the 2 blocks in between that interlocking set as, because there's an automatic there.
Right. If you want it to automatically, okay. My reading of the way that signals work is that the intermediates are automatics. In other words, there's no direct control over them.
Right, right.
And so then the question is, if they're pure automatics, as soon as the train clears, for example, behind it, okay, if I remember, behind it, it will, okay. My reading is that they will tend to go to less restrictive as the train clears. So the signal, the automatic directly behind a signal, let's see, going against the train, going the opposite direction, will stay red for 1 block. And that's to prevent a reverse move.
Okay.
And that tends to be the way if you read, for example, Bruce Chubb's stuff, you go through his code, and other things I've heard said that it's going to stay red. And
Okay.
of course, then if the train's in the block, your automatic's going to be red.
Right. No, I realize that.
Right. But as soon as the train clears it, then according to my reading again of how things work, it'll go to a non-restrictive. It'll probably go to like a yellow.
Yeah, it'll go to approach then, for us, we'll go to
Right.
yellow.
Okay. Now, a lot of model railroads, they want it to be red until somebody sets a signal through the control point, preceding control point. And it'll stay red until, after it's gone red, it's going to stay red until it gets cleared again from the other end. If you want that behavior, then you make your block that the automatic signal is protecting, make it CTC rather than ABS or APB.
Another APB. Okay.
Because APB does have a stick in it.
Okay.
Particularly on try to remember if it's just on the head signal or the intermediates also have a stick.
Yeah, it's the intermediate that the hold is staying on after the train goes underneath it. And I mean the signal going the opposite way that the train's traveling.
Right. That kind of says to me that you've got you check your definition of your blocks if they're CTC or ABP. That's how you get the difference in them. If you want it to go less restrictive, in other words, go to will reflect what's at the progression.
Yeah, reflects what's going in the field then.
Right.
Then set it to CTC then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that tomorrow when we're over there. We're gonna do some testing. So
yeah, it's easy enough, flip them back and forth in Designer. You just
right.
So
right.
that yes. So if you want it to be like a pure automatic, then you make them APB, and if you want them to stay red until cleared, then you make it CTC.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed that the hold wasn't being released until the train went by the next interlocking, the next signal, and that was when it took the hold off on the automatic going the direction opposite of the train. So that makes sense with what you're saying with the stick.
Yeah, I don't remember where the stick is, if it's just on the head signal or if it's on all signals.
Okay. Yeah, I had the signal mast table up in JMRI, and I noticed that it was staying on. So that's why I was wondering. So that pretty much answered the question. So I appreciate that. That'll give us something else to test tomorrow. So
Sure.
I think that was about it. I'm trying to think. There was like one other thing, I believe it was, but you hit. Yeah, it was that the hold wasn't releasing and the trap out the traffic stick. So it was pretty much correlated in the one question. So
Yeah, I don't really know what they're supposed to do. Um, the intermediates are supposed to do, on the real railroad, and I think it's prototype specific. And
yeah,
usually the reason you can't tell is because they use approach lighting, which means they turn off those signals.
right. Up here on CSX, when they before they redid the signals and with the new color lights with NYC style GRS searchlights up here. And the one spot that I would always sit at, it had a traffic stick on the mains. There was two of the mains had a traffic stick on it, and the signal would not go to approach in the opposite direction until the train cleared the next signal down, which was an interlocking. Now CSX changed that when they put the new color lights in. As soon as the train clears the automatic, when the rear end goes underneath it, the signal going the opposite direction goes approach.
Hmm.
And if it's fleeted, it'll go approach for a second and then drop back to red. Then another moves. Yeah, the signal's lined in at the next interlocking. Come and add me there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's yeah, that was the behavior we were trying to get. As soon as it clears underneath the automatic, it'll go back to approach. So that's what I'll try that tomorrow. So
Yeah, and again, I think the rule is that, again, what everything I've seen says that the signal going the opposite direction will be red, and then it waits. It's got to waits for the train to pass the next block before it'll go non-red. And
yeah.
again, that's to prevent a reverse movement.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Now I'll mention it to the other Rodney who you've talked to before, and we'll discuss it tonight and test it tomorrow. So maybe I'll put a post out just to let you know what our results are there.
Okay.
It sounds like that should probably take care of it. But yeah, other than that though, I mean, really haven't had any issues over there. I'm just trying to think here. There was a post a few months ago that you and I were going back and forth with, and I had run the test the way you told me to run it, and it worked. And I forget what the exact circumstance was, but it worked correctly. So I didn't respond back to you on it, but everything seems to be working fine. It was mainly like an initialization. We were having issues where I think it said there were so many commands going out almost simultaneously that they're getting mixed up. And I was getting switches out of correspondence and whatnot. And using the refresh screen, it's definitely helped a lot there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely working better. I mean, once I get the switches normal and initialization, I've been fine. I mean, we've did testing last week for over an hour, and cats didn't lock up once. So and we're trying all kinds of things. So it's running very well. So we've been very happy with it.
Good.
Like I said, if there's anything we come up with, other issues, we'll obviously throw them out in the group and or bring it up on here. That's why I came on tonight. I wanted to make sure if you were on, I was able to ask you. So, because like I said, it gives us something else to do tomorrow.
You don't want to be done.
What's that?
You don't want to be done. You wouldn't have anything to do.
Right. Oh, we always have things to do. But no, it's come along real well. And, even the exact feedback that we have on our switches, working like a champ. So I haven't had any issues there.
Hey, Rodney,
Sure.
what what's the biggest layout that uses your cat's system?
The biggest one that I know of is the Lehigh and Keystone Valley in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He's got 6 screens, I believe.
Wow. But does the Greeley Museum use yours?
Not yet. I'm trying to remember what's going on up there.
I think they're expanding it, aren't they? Another building or something?
Okay. What I've heard is that first of all, they got an in-scale layout and they got set up. They don't have it in a building that has climate control in it,
Oh,
and they want to put cats on it, but they have to figure out what they're going to do with the building. They like I say they need to put up another building or something. The current one has the machine based on CMRI that Doug Geiger built many
oh,
years ago.
okay.
And that's been rewritten a couple of times. And I think they're talking about moving that to LCC.
Yeah, I've seen different things, news articles and stuff. I mean, thought they were going to be expanding big time.
Yeah, I haven't heard about expanding the current building, but I've heard about getting another building.
Yeah, a separate building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have an in-scale layout in it.
Okay.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been to that Lehigh Keystone layout, and it is absolutely fantastic. They have an entire room for their dispatcher and everything. It's
Wow.
really impressive.
Wow.
I'm trying to think I'm trying to think how big their main line run is because it's like 3 different railroads. It's got to be well over 1,000 feet though.
Jeez, it's amazing.
It is. We know 3 or 4 of the guys that do a lot of the work there, and it's very impressive what they've done there. I forget the exact size of their layout. I want to say it's something like 60 by 50, maybe. It's something like that. It's really big though, really big.
Yeah. Darren is working on a big layout there in Omaha. That's like 100 feet by 60 feet, some ridiculous. And for one individual. And he's got another layout up there in Alaska. They fly him up there to work on it once a month.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He's staying pretty busy.
I was going to say that's a full-time job right there.
It is. That's what he makes his living.
Gotcha.
Building model railroad layouts for customers. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Is that guy doing the Sydney project on YouTube?
I don't think so. I'd have to look up his name on YouTube. It's GE0 or something. I'd have to look it up. But he's been a long time friend here in Cedar Rapids. He also does the rail fan, the local. We get together once a month and show photos and talk about stuff. And Darren's his whole life's been trains and models. So pretty nice guy. The Children's Museum. I think he does some stuff in Coralville, Iowa. And then I think he does some stuff up at the Science and Industry in Chicago, the museum up there. Hey, Rodney, what do you hear from Intermountain Railway?
I talk to some of the guys who work up there every once in a while. I know I'm just no, that was Scale Trains I'm upset with. Intermountain. You gotta keep them straight. No, I'd put on orders a locomotive on pre-order for an in-scale locomotive from Fox Valley, which is Scale Trains, and they said they cancel all the orders, said they can't produce it because they lost the molds. So
Fox Valley lost the molds.
yeah, I suspect what happened is when AFA, the manufacturer in China, ran into their problems paying the taxes, the building got locked up by the Chinese government, and I suspect that's where the molds are, and they've never been able to get them out of the building.
Yeah. Well, didn't that happen to Intermountain?
Yeah,
too?
and Rapido and half a
Oh,
dozen other vendors were all in the same boat there.
wow.
But Intermountain itself they're still plugging along.
Yeah, I see they released an HO scale diesel, which
Mhm.
I hadn't noticed any previous. It's been what 4 or 5 years since really seen much from Intermountain.
Yeah. Well, they lost their um yeah, well, a lot of it had to do with AFA closing down. They had to look around and find some other vendors, particularly for locomotives. They're a lot tougher because you have to make the frames and all that kind of stuff, and the
Yeah.
motors and so forth. And then they're shortly after I was let go, then their main artist left too, so they've had problems with that. But um and I think they've been recycling a lot of the old stuff. But it looks like I've also seen some new paint schemes coming out. So I think they've got somebody who has the skills that they may not be doing new tooling, but I think they're doing new paint schemes.
I ordered one of those Alice Chalmers
Oh,
cars. It's supposed to be here Saturday.
oh, I'd like to see that.
Well, I'm not sure that it's even painted. I think it may just be raw.
Yeah,
It
I got the impression maybe a kit.
it was kind of hard to tell from their website, especially when the website suggests what color paint to use to paint it.
Yeah, that kind of implies to me you're going to have to do some of your own painting.
Yeah, maybe have Darren paint it for me.
Yeah, well, it's not a difficult car, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I didn't get any of the loads for it. I just get the original car and just to have it. So hopefully they'll include decals with it if it's not painted.
Um, I'm trying to remember. There was some mention of decals, but I don't remember if those were extra or they were included in the kit.
Well, find out Saturday.
Yeah, I think if you need some decals, may be able to get some Masters for you because Eastern Seaboard Models did they said it was the same car. Um, and but the catch was that it was really was isn't the same car. It's a well car, but it looks close. Anyway, um, Pat down in Lakewood got some loads for it, and he had some AC decals made up for the loads. But this was
Okay.
in scale. But
And this is Steel Mills Model Company, or
it was the Steelworks Modelers or something like that. There's a group that does the steel mills. Yeah, that's their niche in the hobby is they do a lot of stuff for modeling of steel mills.
and that's how this car came about.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's still a lot of stuff on YouTube about Alice Chalmers. If you get digging around for stuff.
Now it's Fiat Alice, I think.
Yeah. Don't know. You can even buy T-shirts with Alice Chalmers logos and stuff on them. The reason we're talking about Alice Chalmers is our folks had an implement business, and they sold Alice Chalmers tractors and gleaners, stuff like that. So always had an interest in Alice Chalmers. Hey, Rob, how about are things for CSX out there in Western North Carolina and Tennessee? Have you guys heard?
What I've heard is that just the clinch field's like basically gone.
That's what I saw on Facebook. It looked like, yeah.
I mean, the damage that I've seen, I would be surprised if they rebuilt it at this point.
Wow.
It's not even the case of like the cost to put the physical plant back in. I think part of it is that all the industry along the line is gone too, so there's really no reason to rebuild now. It's at least that's the way I see it. I mean, I don't think they'll rebuild that, but I mean, it's been a while since we've seen damage like that. I mean, we're comparing it to the hurricane here in the early '70s that crippled the EL in the Lehigh Valley, and back then it's very similar to to that hurricane. That's what a lot of us up here are comparing it to, but it's not. Obviously, it didn't hit the Northeast; it was the Southeast. So
yeah, I was seeing estimates to replace the interstate through Asheville like November of 2025.
yeah,
before they can get that reopened. Then the other interstate was maybe May of 2025.
Yep.
That's just crazy.
It is. I mean, you see pictures of before and afters down there. It's just, you shake your head. It's shocking, really. I mean, I saw a couple of long bridges on the clinch field, and even the abutments aren't there now. Everything is completely wiped out. And I've never seen devastation like that.
Wow. Yeah, to take wow.
So yeah, I mean, at least like for up here, it hasn't changed anything really up here. I mean, we don't get any traffic from that way. We get a little bit of traffic coming up the eastern seaboard, from like Waycross or Rocky Mount that comes up to Selkirk here, east of me and then whatnot. But yeah, nothing really comes directly like over to Clinchfield up our way. So, and really no big difference here. But yeah, you get further south and west, where the CNO was and whatnot. Yeah, you're definitely going to see a little different traffic patterns now, I believe.
Well, then you throw in the strike out there.
Oh yeah, Port Newark and everything right now. Yeah, that's affecting us
That-
more than the hurricane is. I mean, we got stacked trains that aren't running right now because of the port. So stuff's starting to get backed up here a little bit, and see how long it goes. But I know they said in North Baltimore, the intermodal terminal in Ohio, there, Northwest Ohio, they said it's Port Newark traffic starting to accumulate pretty fast. So they have to do something with it. I mean, they might just move it to Buffalo here. We got some capacity to store it for now, but we'll see how long it goes for.
Well, yeah. A lot of things going on in this world, isn't there?
Yeah, no doubt. No shortage of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, Western North Carolina, there's a tail of the dragon. It's a real twisty road.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 11 miles long, 110 curves, something like that. And I've motorcycled it three different times, but I was reading about it. They've got semis stuck on it. They get dead centered. They get high centered trying to go through those curves. And the cops have been there blocking on both ends of the tail of the dragon to keep semis from going on it. But, a cop leaves after dark. And so semi goes out there and he gets high centered. He's stuck. Another one goes out, can't get around him. Then he gets high centered. And so they're having to back him up, maybe back a semi 10 miles to get out there.
Geez.
I can't imagine what a mess that must be out there.
Absolutely.
Beautiful country, and the roads are curvy, but boy, I wouldn't take a semi on that highway 125. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, definitely not.
Yeah, we had, I was just checking my records because I was out in that area around Spruce Pine and Asheville back in 2008. And we rail fanned the Clinchfield up through there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And it's somewhat reminiscent of the tracks that go through here up through the Rockies. I mean, because it's narrow and they weave all over the place. And when we were up there, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic on the old Clinchfield. And if that stuff's wiped out, I can't imagine that they're going to be putting it back into service because it's mountain railroading. It's tough and it's expensive. But at the same time, like they said, around Spruce Pine is one of the world's leading producers. They mine, I think it is quartz or something that's used in silicon semiconductors. And
Okay.
because it's so pure, that's why they want it from up there. So, but I suppose they could always use trucks to get it out of there. And I guess the Blue Ridge, if I remember right, the Blue Ridge Parkway goes through there. I wonder how badly. I assume it got hit just like the area around Asheville did. But,
Yeah, I would think so. I remember being out there in the 70s and going up to Saluda grade. I actually have some Super 8mm movies of back when they'd run trains up that grade. And I don't know if those tracks have been abandoned or washed out or what since then, but that was quite a sight to see way back when.
yeah, we did also rail fan the Saluda grade when we were out there in 2008, and the tracks still exist, but I think they're starting to rip them out if I remember right.
What are they doing Tennessee Pass?
It's still just sitting there. Trees are growing up between the rails, and every once in a while somebody says, "Oh yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
open it up again."
But yeah, we're gonna rent it, reopen it. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we were talking about Darren earlier. His dad used to take him out there Tennessee Pass, and they'd camp out alongside the tracks for a week at a time. So if you see Darren again, you'll have to ask him about Tennessee Pass. He's got some great stories.
Well, I think I'm going to have to move along because my dinner's about ready and my wife has somewhere she wants to go tonight, so we're not going to be able to put it off much longer. So good seeing you guys and hope to talk to you again in a month or so.
Sounds good.
Good to talk with you guys. Good to see you, Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody have a good week.
Yeah, have a great night, Steve. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.